What's going on, guys? Mark here, back with a tech video once again, and today we're using a much wider lens than usual, showing my legs today because we have one of the largest products we've ever reviewed on Noisy Pixel here, and today we have the Omen 34C Ultrawide gaming monitor. Now this thing is quite heavy, I'm not gonna lie. This might take two people to carry sometimes, to be honest. Like, this thing is not that light at all. At least the packaging is not, which I guess is good for the durability, I think. We'll see when we open it. But like, it almost hurts my legs to keep in here. Anyway, we'll get over that. Thank you, Omen, for sending this one out. I appreciate it. Now, this monitor is brand new to the market, and it's almost hard to find when Google searching it right now, but it is the Omen 34C. It's brand new for 2023, and it is a 165 Hz Quad HD ultra-wide 34-inch monitor. I have no idea necessarily what ports it has on the back, but we will definitely figure that out once we open the box right now. So let's get to it. You know, this monitor is all the typical stuff nowadays: HDR, 1 millisecond response, all of that good stuff. iSafe technology, AMD FreeSync, because it's not G-Sync. Now, I don't know too much about like curved specs because it is a curved monitor, but I guess they're labeling this as 1500R. I really don't care about that, to be honest with you, but for all you curved nerds, that is how they label it. I'm trying to figure out how to open this box on camera right now, and I might need to get comfy with the monitor because it opens like this. But here we go, guys. This is it. The entire nothing. When you open it up, you see absolutely nothing. And that, I guess, is good. Protect the monitor. Omen manual. That goes that way for now. So we have this piece right here. Now, when it comes to monitors, you have to install it a certain way. Like, they want you to lay it down flat and then like whatever. So this thing has some weight to it. Again, this is why the box is so heavy. So this is well made, definitely well made. You could definitely do some damage with this thing. This thing is a baseball bat. But metal grip attachment to the monitor right there. We're gonna lay this down right now. We're gonna just scout out what else we have here. Comes with a DisplayPort wire. I'm gonna just check how long it is really quick. About a 6-foot DisplayPort cable, typical free cable involved. Typical free cable length, 6 feet is usually enough. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you guys got the PCs just far away and, you know, 6 feet ain't good enough. We have this little styrofoam pouch, and inside is it looks like one of those like wire management clips that you put around the monitor's neck. I'm gonna keep this to the side right now. I don't wanna lose that. And we have the power cable, at least one part of it. We have, looks like some sort of plate to hide wires maybe, or make it look cleaner. That's what it looks like to me. Some sort of covering. Gonna keep that to the side right now. Right here, this is definitely the base. See an Omen logo right at the bottom there. Pretty nice, clean base, honestly. Can't really say anything bad things about it. Very durable, very heavy, because I guess it definitely has to hold the weight of a very wide monitor. The monitor now, let's take this out. As you can see, it's face down. It opens just like this. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put the stand on it from the box and then lift it out like that. Let's put this monitor on its stand. New perspective from Noisy Pixel. We're gonna do it down here. I'm going to assume this is a toolless install. I'm not going to look at the instructions, just see if I can do it without that, because I don't think it's gonna be that complicated. It just has two pieces really, and it looks like the base has a hand twist if you have the strength to do it, so I'm gonna try and do that myself. I'm just gonna open this up to see. I really like the feeling of this monitor. Honestly, the back is quite nice. You have the Omen logo well printed into the back of the monitor. We have 2 HDMIs and a DisplayPort cable. So that is more than enough, in my opinion, to get the job done with terms of external outputs on this. And we have actually a headphone jack in the monitor built in. Very nice to see. So it looks like this panel obviously goes right here. And what we're gonna do is put this part through there. I don't know which way is the top. Doesn't really... Okay, so the top, there's an arrow Looks like the top goes that. And you just kind of do one of these. Okay, I heard a click. This clicks right in. So why there's a panel right here is so you can actually mount this monitor. Now the weird thing about Omen monitors, because they have this obsession with diamonds, is that you actually have to buy a full motion mount that can turn to mount back to normal, which is what I learned a while ago, which is very silly in my opinion. If it's one thing they can learn, is it's okay to ditch the diamond pattern for one instance. Omen, please, why do we have to have a full motion mount to mount this monitor? It makes no sense. Anyway, pretty much in there. I mean, I'm gonna try and like pull it out right now without hitting any buttons, and it seems like it's pretty in there. I'm using enough strength where it should rip out, and I'm gonna try hitting this button and pulling it, and it comes right out. So let's try it again. Clicks right in, you heard it. So it just looks like it just latches right around that piece. I'm not really sure what controls this. I guess it's just weight, because it doesn't look like it's... So let's put this on. Make sure the screw lines up. Perfectly aligns, very nicely made. And it actually looks like you're gonna need a flathead just to be sure this is tight enough. I just did it with my hand. It kind of gets tight right away, and it seems like you need to take a flathead out. So we're gonna do just that. So I wasn't able to turn it that much actually. I turned it maybe 5 degrees before it told me, no, don't do that, you'll strip the screw. So I was wrong. The screw does tighten very quickly when you twist it, but I guess be assured it is tightened in there, so no worries. So let's lift this monitor out, and I'm gonna lift it hopefully not by the stand, just in case we didn't do something right. But just as I suspected, nothing bad happened at all. Look at this thing. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Omen 34C ultra-wide monitor. It honestly looks delicious because I am excited. I've never actually used an ultra-wide before. I use 3 computer screens most of my life. I'm honestly kind of breaking a sweat managing this thing because again, it is very heavy, so just keep that in mind. And so far, I'm very impressed with the monitor. The build quality is pretty solid. It's not like metal or anything on the screen, but it really does have a nice look. The Omen logo on the front is quite nicely printed. The stand is a little boring. I mean, I guess if this monitor was any more fancy, it would start going up in price, and that's why there are some expensive ultrawides out there. We'll definitely see if this holds up price value wise. This seems very affordable for what you're getting, so we're gonna have to really see in the testing if it's worth it. As you can see, we have a fully adjustable stand here, and that's as far as it goes down. It doesn't go down too far, it doesn't really go all the way, but I guess it's enough to be able to like look down at the screen if you wanted to kind of like, that's actually as much as it tilts, but we could tilt it, yeah, like it's really not a huge range of motion. So that's gonna be it for the unboxing section. Thank you guys for sticking it out. There's nothing else in this box after the monitor. It's just like cardboard squishy inserts. So you have the DisplayPort cable, the power cable, the stand, the plate, the base, and the monitor itself. That's everything in the box. So don't lose anything. Very excited to try this out. We'll definitely give it a fair review, so stick around. This has been Mark from noisypixel.net, and thank you for watching.
If you are a newcomer to the PC market or feel a little unsure about monitors, I can understand. Ultrawides can be a bit daunting to understand. The resolutions vary, the aspect ratios can be different, and since you measure a monitor by the diagonal, that's another layer of insight you have to make the right purchase. The Omen 34C is a brand new ultra-wide gaming monitor by HP that could be right for a certain type of buyer, and at a price of $479.99, it does make you question if it is too good to be true. Let's discuss why. The Omen 34C, first of all, is extremely heavy. It's bittersweet for durability reasons, as this monitor is made exceptionally well, with textured and not so hollow feeling plastic and a full metal neck and base. Back to the weight, due to the metal neck and base, the Omen 34C weighs 23 pounds, and all of the weight sits at the top of the neck when installed. I'm not the weakest person, and picking this monitor up with one hand is very difficult, and in some cases you may need 2 people to carry this box and weight out of a store or on top of your desk. Moreover, I'm happy it's made well, but if you have a cheaply made desk mount or desk, I'd be concerned about bowing my desk. Next, the weight proves the monitor to be pretty shaky at the center point, but this is also because my desk also slightly wobbles. I did have less wobble on a non-ultra-wide monitor on this desk, and this is due to a tighter center point of gravity, so keep in mind your setup when purchasing the Omen 34C. The neck of the monitor attaches to the base with a hand screw, with no need for tools. The monitor's base could use a bit more rubber grip pads, as I found that this monitor can be rotated a tad too easily, leaving me to be a bit concerned about its general security to the desk. They have this little rubber nub in the center, and it doesn't make much sense to me. Moving on, you can find a printed Omen logo front and center on the 34C's bottom bezel. The other edges feature a bezel measuring 3/8 inch, and the front bottom bezel is about twice that size. Not the most discreet look, but it isn't too noticeable due to the ultrawide nature of the screen. The base of the 34C also has a glossy print of their diamond logo, and I must say, I like the base's open and simple square shape. I can place things on top of it without it falling off, and I appreciate how it gives back the space rather than using some weird destructive design or shape. The 34C could benefit from some USB ports or maybe even an SD card reader or something, as it does not feature anything other than 2 HDMI ports, 1 display port, and menu buttons. There is also an aux port, believe it or not. Back to the menu buttons and panel, this is one of the better configurations I have used, and the buttons click pretty firmly, and it is satisfying to use. I find most monitors' back buttons often come across as relatively cheaply made, and these buttons feel premium for sure. Once again, the top of the neck attaches without tools, simply clicking into a mechanical lock. There is a release button at the place of attachment to easily detach the monitor. The buttons are easy enough to click where if you were to grab the screen by the neck, you would accidentally click the button, and at that point, the monitor can easily slip right off. So be careful how you lift this display. The 34C has a plastic covering to hide the screws and mounting location if you use the desk stand. On the other hand, Omen logos strike again because your mounting hardware must be 90 degrees rotating in full motion to mount this display anywhere. They hold true to their brand so much they would force you into a particular type of hardware, so be sure your mount can hold 23 pounds. Regarding the back of the display, another Omen typography logo comes across as premium and stylish. It doesn't tramp stamp the monitor per se, but offers another differentiating factor from its counterparts. Another notable mention about the back of the display is the click-in wire management harness. The harness slides and clicks into the monitor stand and does not feel loose or cheap, but instead stuck in place to strap in your hefty cables. This brings me to say this display does provide a 2-meter DisplayPort in the box, which seems to perform just fine in terms of frame rates, but we will return to frame rates. Surprisingly, the Omen 34C does provide built-in speakers, which is always a friendly bonus, although these speakers do not sound very friendly. The speakers sound afraid of you, like a quiet kid in the corner, providing a very muffled and hard to hear sound. It is still included speakers on a monitor, so it's nice to have for general and careless media consumption. Still, it's too hard to distinguish tonal differences due to the muffled nature, yet another bittersweet story for the Omen 34C. To close out this section of the review, I'd like to mention that the top right of my monitor was slightly warped or dented. This could be from shipping, but the frame is still susceptible to warping, so be careful with the bezel of the Omen 34C. Lastly, there is a small yet detailed decision to make the Omen 34C's Honor standby light on the front a diamond shape to match their logo. It's the smaller things that add a sense of pride after spending $500 on a screen. Let's start by stating some basic specs that regard performance. The Omen 34C has a resolution of 3440 by 1440 and extended Quad HD. The monitor also boasts the gamer's favorite spec of 1 millisecond response time with a refresh rate of 165 Hz. It also has a 3000:1 contrast ratio featuring a brightness of 400 nits. Starting with brightness, the Omen 34C supports all means of content, providing a broad spectrum of color and dynamic range. Whether you are a gamer, content creator, photo editor, or more, I found that the monitor provided more than enough brightness and dynamic range to see a proper sRGB output, and that is the color space most consumers can 100% visualize. As an avid video and photo editor, it was a bit hard to get used to at first, but I found the color and lighting to suffice, especially as I come from a brighter screen. If you are sensitive to brightness, regardless of eye-safe tech, this screen has light power, and my eyes are getting more sensitive as the years pass. The Omen 34C, as most Omen products do, has different picture presets and color spaces to adjust, such as gaming, native, and more. The native setting provides the most accurate color display, although not the most comfortable, as gaming will have a warmer and more relaxing tone. I usually have it set to native or gaming, depending on if I'm making art or playing games, but native is the most accurate. although it comes across very blue. I had to lower the green and blue levels a little to my liking to make the screens less in your face. The Omen 34C is quite a large screen. It may not be the widest ultrawide on the streets, but it certainly can replace 2 screens if you want to minimize. You probably will lose a bit of screen space if you're used to 2 screens, but I think after a few uses, you will like this more than a double display setup. I am coming from 3 screens myself, and this was very hard to get used to, and I kind of miss my 3-screen setup. This display is very nice, but it just can't replace everything I like to have open at once amongst multiple monitors. This goes for all ultrawides at 34 inches, as this is solely not a critique of the Omen 34C. Let's jump into the gaming experience on the display. And when it comes to having fun, this is where the display shines. It is unique to get this performance, size, and experience for less than $500 because you get full HDR and 165Hz with no issues on your favorite titles. The price is not terrible for what you get in terms of resolution, refresh rate, and screen coverage. The real fun is derived from modern games allowing the games to be full screen, basically allowing me to see twice as much as my friends playing the same game. It's almost as if I'm cheating a little because I can see more in my peripherals, and there is an underlying premium nature to the Omen 34C, being that I can see more at such a high refresh rate. The viewing angle of the Omen 34C is also stellar, enough to watch the screen from off to the side, as the curved nature provides a better fit to the human eye. Take it into a game like Fortnite, for instance. I can see enemies looting or shooting in my peripherals that weren't even on screen otherwise on a non-ultrawide. The screen is also bright, vivid, responsive, and clear enough to really make an impact on your gaming style. Before we close this out, let's circle back to the question. Is this monitor too good to be true? And the answer is undoubtedly confusing, depending on how you want to look at it. Not even 12 hours into testing the Omen 34C out, I realized you would burn in if you keep Windows, tabs, or software open and stationary. Now, the burn-in does fade away a bit, but it does not give a good sign as to the longevity of the panel in general. I am sure it will seem splotchy or dim in some areas over time, or have foggy pictures from the continued burn-in over time. Here is the kicker. For a content creator or regular user, this is a bigger deal than for someone gaming full screen. As the display is constantly changing and refreshing, this will probably result in way less burn-in and longer life for the Omen 34C, rather than the general user or professional who may have one piece of software open for extended periods of stationary use. Let's finish with some frame rate speak, and it's even more important to talk about the refresh rate. Granted, this monitor boasts high performance on such a screen at a relatively fair price. Now, would you buy this monitor if you can't even perform at 165Hz? Yes and no once again, because it depends on who you are. If you aren't a huge gamer, the refresh rate adds to the premium feel of the device, but you really won't be taking advantage of what the Omen 34C does best if you aren't gaming. And don't forget the burn-in. The monitor is somewhat self-contradicting at times, whether it's worth the purchase for a non-gamer, so let's speak about whether it's worth for a gamer themselves. I didn't face any screen tearing on this device due to the provided FreeSync support, but let's just say you may not always be getting 165Hz, even if you have a strong computer. Every game is made differently and performs differently, so we must keep this in mind to remain practical unless you like to live on the edge. My PC has a 16-core AMD Ryzen 9, a NVIDIA 3070, and 128 gigs of RAM. These are my general frame recordings using the Omen 34C, and you can use these specs to justify this review if needed. Fortnite hits about 70 to 80 frames, Apex Legends hits about 130 to 146 frames, League of Legends hits 144 to 145, and Rocket League hits a perfect 165 frames. Overall, these recordings are pretty solid, being the ultra-wide resolution, HDR support, and general load this high refresh rate monitor puts on your GPU, so take them as you will. So it all comes down to you in the end. Depending on the user, this monitor, although not the cheapest, is not the most expensive either. Granted, the screen provides a fantastic user experience. It puts a smile on your face most of the time, and I started to realize that quickly in this review. I wish it didn't scare me with the burn-in on day one, but it is what it is. There are some other downfalls to the display, such as the dent from shipping, crappy speakers, no USB or extra inputs, and a few more that are stuck in the back of my mind. Noisy Pixel is giving the Omen 34C a B+. Great screen, it just worries me a bit, so we will leave it at that. Thank you for watching. Noisy Pixel is a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all of our future content. See ya, nerds.
Noisy Pixel.